You do a question.
Another round.
I want to do a question around the cafeteria table.
Let's do a question around the cafeteria table.
That'd be fun.
Nobody reveal their affiliation.
Of course.
Yes, I love you too.
And I will go ahead and read a question. All right, so Tommy sent us a couple questions, and one of them that I enjoyed, that was connected to the first question. Oh my gosh! Wait, there's a couple. Oh my god! I am getting questions in, so many hot from Tommy. Okay, one is, favorite Titans. This is a Hades reference.
Oh, favorite
Greek
Titans?
mythology.
Favorite Titans
Yes.
in Greek mythology?
Titans.
I like, my favorite, I gotta say, is like Typhon, Typhus, however you pronounce big storm
Typhus.
dragon boy. Typhon?
Typhus.
Typhus?
Typhon or Typhon, yeah.
Typhon? Yeah, I think
Typhon.
I think Typhon's my boy. I love he's kind of like I'm not gonna say he's like Zeus's Lex Luthor, because that's definitely Kronos, but he's like Zeus's Bizarro.
That's a good play of doing it. I like that.
Okay, do we want another question?
Oh, anyone else have a favorite Titan?
Yeah.
I mean, Atlas keeps shit together, so I'll give him that.
Oh, it's very true.
Prometheus brought us fire, so that's pretty legit.
I do love
right, I'll
I
do
do
that.
love Prometheus. I like I said, I wrote a lot about Prometheus back in my day, but shouts out to
Frankenstein's
like
one of
my
my favorite
favorite.
books, so yeah, Prometheus makes sense.
Shouts out to my favorite fail son, Epimetheus. Like really, we're
Epimetheus?
Epimetheus, Prometheus's brother. Just the fail son of the family.
Best movie with Greek mythology. This can be a group answer too.
Oh, it's Time Bandits. Everything's Time Bandits.
That is a good one.
That's the answer to everything. Everything is Time Bandits.
I recently watched the Netflix anime. I mentioned this earlier in the Discord, in the Twitch. Blood of Zeus on Netflix. It was an interesting approach and exploration, and it situated it in like a myth that had been forgotten, which is cool.
All right, I am extremely irony poisoned, especially in my choice of cinema. I've seen The Room way too many times.
Is that your favorite myth?
No. Well, I'm getting there. Like, all of my favorite movies are like so bad they're good movies. So it's got to be young, barely conversational in English Arnold Schwarzenegger in Hercules in New York. I am tired of the same old things. I am tired of the same old life. His Hercules' best friend is Pretzi, the pretzel vendor. He goes like, "Hey, you can call me Pretzi."
I'd also like to give a shout out to Steve Reeves and like the really old Hercules movies,
Oh yeah.
because those are classic.
Of all the movies. All right. Well, we've got a couple other questions, but let's save them for later because they're specific to a number of us.
Thinking about
in
Steve
the
Reeves,
chat.
like way oiled, his like very oiled chest, right?
Oh yeah,
He's like
you know, we're
glistening
gonna
in those
take an
movies.
old Steve Reeves movie.
I always am.
Well, I got a hot question for Liminality. Liminality's ready to chat. Chrissy, Death Lorist, local Death Lorist. What ways would you like to see the funeral home industry change?
Ooh, that is a good question.
Ooh, that's a big one. So my biggest issue with like death practices today is the over medicalization of them. So I think that like so like they're trying to do like more natural and like home burials, and I love that concept because it kind of reincorporates death back into our everyday lives, because right now everything is just like so professionalized and medicalized that like when we have to deal with death things, it's always like a huge shock, just because it's so far removed from our lives that like we don't know how to talk about it, what rituals there are around there. Very person to person, and for a lot of people that practice that are like not that are more secular, they don't have a lot of comfort in these sort of rituals. So I think the reincorporating death back into our everyday lives, both speaking and practice wise, I think that could open up a lot of cool stuff.
That's cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I want to be a tree when I die. That's what I want to happen. Just plant me
That
as
is
a tree.
that's a thing that they can do. It's
You
really
took that
know,
really interesting. Took that really interesting angle because, like, I think I've told many of you I was gonna be a mortician when I graduated high school.
Oh,
That's what I
wow,
went to
really?
college for.
No
Yeah.
way.
Well, you know, I come
Yeah.
from a family of morticians.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like the family business was Tartaglia Funeral Home.
Well, bugger.
Wow.
Yeah.
awesome.
They didn't call it like Tartaglia Tombs.
No, I mean it was like the 40s.
So what you're telling
no one
me-
was being twee like that. Maybe they were in Minnesota.
Oh yeah, there. Tombs.
I'm really excited that when Folkwise doesn't work out, we're just gonna open a funeral home together.
Wait,
Dude, I do love that.
Hold on. Is Tommy in the chat? Are you saying that you also come from a family of a funeral family? Or you also want to be a tree?
Yes.
That's a big difference.
Big difference. Oh,
Easy to do.
no. He lived in a funeral home.
You mean a
Oh, really?
Wow,
You
yeah,
mean it-
so did my dad and my aunt and uncle.
You mean a fun home?
Come to the fun home. Come to
That's
the
a
fun
good-
home.
Good
Good
graphic novel though. Fun.
Yeah, I was like,
Oh.
queer literature. What up?
I was
Fun
gonna
home.
say I got to Theater Kid on it, and I immediately associated
Yeah.
it with the one act.
I think it's the same.
Yeah, it's based on.
It is.
It's
It
the
is.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey Daisy, did you get
That's
the code yet?
No, I did not. I was just waiting
Okay,
for
I
us
just want to make
end
sure I
the
wasn't missing
question.
anything. I'm not trying to take away. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything.
No worries.
But yeah, no, it's interesting that Caitlin brings up like the over medicalization of that because I was gonna say the hyper business element of the mortuary practices and how it's very profit driven. Like when my grandma Donna passed away this last summer, my dad was saying the exorbitant amount they paid on a coffin, and I'm just like, that is absurd.
Yeah.
Well, it's also a really interesting time right now to be thinking about death services because
Yeah.
of the overwhelming amount of deaths that have occurred, and there are places where you can't, bury your loved one right now because of COVID-19, or you can't go through any funeral home processes because they're overwhelmed. So
Right.
it's interesting time to be thinking about what could look different when those ritualized practices are even being limited by our current moment.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like I was not able to go to my grandma's funeral because of COVID, right? So like I missed out on that, important element of mourning, right? I just sat in the backyard and drank a bottle of wine to myself.
Yeah.
But I think we're all developing. It's interesting what we're developing as new rituals for that, whether it's a Zoom memorial or whether it's having a personalized experience of, celebrating
Yeah.
a life.
Right.
So I have one more question posed to us, and we can save it for after another round. We can come back to it, or we can keep playing. We can answer it now. What does the room feel?
I think hit us with one more. I think we're on a roll.
Yeah.
All right,
go
we're
for
on
it.
a roll. All right, this is a question for all of us. For each member, favorite folklore symbol you'd pick for a hypothetical tattoo.
Oh gosh.
Folklore symbol.
Okay, I can start and answer this one. Now, I'm not exactly sure what you mean by folklore symbol, but the way that I interpret that with my folklore brain is a tattoo that I've been thinking about for a while. And I want to get a tattoo of a Tasmanian tiger skull on my thigh. And the reason that this is a folklore symbol to me is because for the people that I work with, people who believe in the current existence of the Tasmanian tiger, which is a real animal that went extinct in about the 1930s in Tasmania, which is like the island south of Australia. And people still believe that it exists today, and so getting it like tattooed on my body is an example of the Tasmanian tiger living in perpetuity, sort of like surpassing or living beyond its official documented extinction. And so to me, that's like the folklore symbol that means a lot to me and to the communities that I work with.
That's cool, Daisy.
Yeah. I have been dreaming about this for a long time. There's also sunflowers involved, which are not as folkloric. But I want it done!
I've actually got an answer for this one.
Oh, yeah?
Again, I don't know exactly what you mean by folklore symbol, but folk religion could definitely fall into that hypothetically. And I'm a Buddhist, and in Buddhism there are like traditionally 8 auspicious symbols in most traditions, kind of starting with Indian traditions moving outward. And one of them is 2 fish. 2, I think they're carp. I don't know what they are. I would look that up before I got the tattoo. But anyway, that's one that a lot of people who get Buddhism tattoos get like the head of the Buddha, and I don't really like that. I think that it's the wrong type of symbolism to me. Whereas this is an actual like religious symbol that has theological meaning, whereas the head of the Buddha is like it doesn't have any theological meaning. It's just an image. And so that's the one I think I would do.
So that's an interesting question. I actually have a folklore tattoo that has significant personal meaning to me, because part of my work and part of what I'm interested in is not just tattoos, but artwork and indigenous peoples, especially Native Americans. So, growing up the way I have, I grew up with a very strong connection to the West. Like all family vacations were out to the West, and we would always stop at the Great Medicine Wheel in Wyoming. And so I was raised in a way that very much respects Mother Earth and where we come from and how we were formed, shaped by these people, the people who come before us, and the land that we live on. So, actually, as a graduation present last year, I got a tattoo when the left forearm, and the original artwork was done by a Native American artist by the name of Woody Crumbo, and it's tattoo itself is a picture of a deer running, and because of that, the respect that I was taught growing up and the connection to the peoples that I have, I very much believe in the concept of a totem animal, and so I've always been obsessed with tattoos. The deer is my totem animal, and when I saw this, I knew it was exactly what I needed to get.
That's cool.
Nice.
I'll go next. That's awesome. I'll go next. So it is an interesting question, and I think
I was muted.
based on like a lot of. What was that?
I'm sorry. The chat is going to see me like moving, like just whinging my jaw, and then realizing that I was muted for that.
Oh.
Can I ask Sam a question real quick,
yeah.
Jared?
Yeah, go by all means.
Jared, how do you? Or sorry, Sam. What's like a kind of distinction? I know it. You know, like if you had to draw a distinction between like a folkloric tattoo versus like if you get something tattooed, it's a part of your group folklore. You know what I mean? Is that like a distinction you make in like your research?
Kind of. The way that I come down to it is that like tattoos are very personal, and what they are what they do is before anyone ever even asks you about it, what they do is they signal and they identify you in some way that, as you as an individual want to be identified with. So the tattoo least the way I see it, the tattoo is the skin that we choose to have tattooed is the gallery, our own personal gallery that very likely the closest that anyone will, not anyone, but most people will ever come to actually curating an exhibit.
Yeah. Damn, that great answer.
That's
Yeah, it's
true.
a fascinating,
Yeah.
fascinating response.
Yeah, everyone with tattoos, you are like curating your body's own exhibit. Damn.
That's cool.
Jared, go for it, Jared.
Yeah. No, thank you, Sam, for that. It's a really powerful thing to think about. So since we're kind of basing a lot of our answers, and people are saying like, oh, their work or something related to them. I think that's actually maybe something I might do someday. I don't have any tattoos, but one of the things I research and write about is rosemalling, which is a traditional Norwegian folk art. Rosemalling means flower painting or rose painting, actually specifically, and it originated as a predominantly male painting technique, blending a lot of Northern European Baroque painting techniques as well as Viking wood carving techniques into this two-dimensional floral painting style that evolved from decorating the interiors of homes and churches to really all kinds of domestic objects, items, and it's a real big symbol for being Norwegian and Norwegian American identity. If you say Norwegian, rosemalling is like right there. And it had a waning period, but in the United States, it had a real big peak spark in the 1930s, especially with Per Lisna in Stoughton, Wisconsin, south of Madison, who taught a lot of people how to rosemall, especially women, because they had the time and the interest at that moment to really take off with painting. And it's beautiful. And I recommend looking up rosemalling, and I would think about getting. What's really cool too is each region of Norway or like state, if you want to think about it like that, has its own distinct variation within the tradition, and the variations are named after those regions. So you have like Hallingdal, Rogaland, Telemark, Valders, all that, and they have their own different variations and approaches to that. My ancestors come from the Sogne Fjordene, but they were too poor of a region to actually develop their own style. They had other shit to do, like survive. And so they actually would have people, literally what happened is men, because it was a men's job, they would ski over the mountains and bring me their paints in their backpacks and paint places and then keep moving on their skis. So you typically use other styles in my ancestral homeland, but I would get telemark because that's probably my favorite style. It's also the most common that you see amongst Norwegian Americans because that's where a predominant amount of Norwegian immigrants came from initially too, and got that style going. So I'd get a telemark, like maybe upper sleeve. That's kind of what I would get.
Cool.
Yeah, you were
long answer short.
You were mentioning that you said like Norwegian rosemalling, and like instantly I was just like, before you even said rosemalling, I was just like, Jared, it's perfect. Like all you said was rosemalling, and like knowing you, I was just like, there it is. That is the perfect one, Jared.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's kind of it's very flowy. It's not like a harsh, critical. Like it's not like fuck yeah, giant. It's very elegant.
Jared, you're not like a fuck yeah. Whoa, Norway.
Exactly.
No, you're like you're like the nicest, most polite person you and Chrissy are the nicest, most polite people I know. And no, I think that's
correlation that we both go to University of Wisconsin. I don't know.
You're both at the University of Wisconsin. Great answer,
both
Jared.
Midwestern guys, maybe.
Yeah.
Can I say mine?
By all means.
Well, I guess I already have a folklore tattoo in a way because me and my best friend have matching tattoos.
I was gonna say, if you don't talk about that, that's like the absolute folklore tattoo.
Yeah. I mean, really, a folk group can be at its smallest is two people who share one thing in common, and so, Me and my best friend James both have ex-Bat tattoos, like Batman and X-Men together, because we used to go to the comic book shop together every Wednesday in college. I'm a big X-Men guy. He's a big Batman guy. And we to make a very long story that I'll tell one day short, we put them together. We have matching spots on our arms. I think if I had to get a tattoo that's like more traditionally what people think of folklore, I would get the like the major arcana symbol for the Emperor in tarot cards on me. I would get like the Emperor symbol, not for tarot or anything, just because that is the crest of House Freldarius in Fire Emblem Three Houses, which is the crest of the very obscure video game character that I'm fairly certain I'm the only person in the world who cosplays. So I might as well just get the crest.
That would be really cool. I kind of want crest clothing.
Yeah, I have the crest of flames on a shirt.
Oh, it's so sick.
Anybody else got a tattoo? Wow, Daisy, are you setting up the hide and seek one?
I am setting it up.
Cool. Anyone else got a tattoo?
I'll admit that the only tattoo I've ever thought about getting is something Harry Potter related, and now I probably wouldn't, but just because
Chris, it's very
feelings,
interesting.
but...
Everyone has complicated feelings related to Harry Potter. I don't necessarily agree with this defense, but I hear it a lot that it doesn't belong to J.K. Rowling anymore. It's like the fan. It's like it's
right.
I like the fan community, which is to say
that's what I say.
Yeah, which is to I don't 100% agree with that, but that argument is I'm into Harry Potter folklore, not Harry Potter the text, which I think is
that's pretty much exactly my feeling at the moment.
Yeah,
I'm into Harry Potter folklore and not Harry Potter. And, in some ways I'm still into Harry Potter the text, but it's more like I want to see what the fans are doing with it, and I care a lot more about fan fiction than I do about the actual text anymore. So
that's folklore.
Yeah.
I do like watching how people have been getting cover-ups and alterations to their Harry Potter tattoos.
Oh, that's
it's such an interesting way that people are negotiating problematic fandom now.
Right.
How they're
that's something
removing
my parents,
things from the exhibit floor, so to speak.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like my parents still have my copy my childhood home. That's where my copies of Harry Potter are, and I'm like, do I want them out here with me in Oregon? I do love them. Is that problematic? I don't know.
Yeah.
My niece is mine.
Well, I think it's a safe thing to question the things that you loved as a child and look back at them with your adult mind and wonder, because they're very much a product of the 90s. And if you have any intellectual understanding of that time in literature, in politics, etc., you'll see it all over those books, including the racist, sexist stuff that we see within it, and some of even J.K. Rowling's turfy attitudes are, it's very much a product of the time. But at the same time, so mine are here in my apartment with me. And I even have double copies of some of the books because I bought a second copy at an important part in my life when I needed it, and things like that. And that's how much they meant to me. And I don't think that it's a bad thing to hold on to what they used to mean, but I also think it's important to understand and look at them critically in that way too. So I don't know. That's sort of the stage I'm at, where I'm kind of mourning what used to be a really joyous thing and now has all these complicated things attached to it, but rejoicing in the fan community like I did since I was 10 years old. So
that's something that my brother's fiance and I are sort of doing with my nieces is they're reading Harry Potter now, and we're quietly negotiating what other series do we feed them, which other books did we love and are now looking back and through the lens of, is it too problematic, is it this, is it that?
Well, welcome to the world of living. Welcome to the world of growing up with Little House on the Prairie literally in your backyard.
Oh yeah, sure.
Oh yeah.
Series
of unfortunate events.
Carrie, are these the nieces and nephews you want to dress up like the
Bene Gesserit? Yeah,
Bene Gesserit?
Yeah, it's
All
gonna
right,
be great.
we're getting him into
June.
Dune. We're doing this.
I would also like to point out, I discovered this week, my dad has no idea what Lion Witch in the Wardrobe is. He's never read it.
What?
He's never
No,
encountered it in media.
Dang.
I
makes
just
me
read
sad.
Lion Witch in the Wardrobe, actually, like literally 5 months ago
Oh,
for the first
Oh
time.
my
another
I never read it.
beloved thing from my youth.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so here's why this is funny. Okay, is when I was in college, my dad read the His Dark Materials trilogy
Okay.
because the movie was coming out, and so they came down to move me out one semester, and we went to go see that very ill-fated movie franchise attempt. And he sits there and he's like, so this Philip Pullman guy,
Huh.
he how did he not get run out of town with all the church stuff? So now, as he's very into the His Dark Materials television series, I'm just like, what do you mean you haven't read Lion the Witch in the Wardrobe?
Yeah, that's that church stuff.
Like, you should know that these were the two books that I was reading in very short succession in my early teens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you noticed. that was
Question. Coming in hot.
Yep.
Oh
Question.
man.
Question.
Okay.
What?
Oh, okay. Well, this is a very good practical question for us, and then I'll follow up with a food question.
Okay.
So the first question is, what's the difference between urban legend and folklore? This is a very good question.
Hey, is there a legend person who wants to handle this?
I mean, I'm kind of a legend person.
You're kind of a legend person.
I can weigh in.
Yeah, do it.
So folklorists, I guess you can think of folklore as like a really broad category, similar to something like, oh my gosh, Pies Kill Kings, I just saw your comments as a legendary person. Thank you so much. You can think of folklore as a similar category that's really broad, kind of like anthropology, where it's maybe like a thing that you can use to help you understand different parts of culture rather than an individual piece of culture itself, where something like an urban legend might be a piece of that culture. Does that make sense? So like we tell urban legends, we tell fairy tales, we tell myths. These are all considered something like a folk narrative, and that might be a genre of folklore. So a folklore is like the big umbrella that could include things like dance or music, language, art, all of these sorts of things. And then an urban legend might be like a subcategory of that folklore.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Yeah.
What's the difference between a legend and an urban legend?
I might want someone else to weigh in on this, but
you can tag me in.
One of them involves sewers.
oh my god, I don't know if y'all heard that, but one of them involves sewers.
It's not wrong. It's not wrong.
I tag whoever else wants to jump in and help with this, because urban legend, a lot of the term urban legend and also contemporary legend get tossed around a little bit. I kind of think of them as like the most popular legends, or legends that exist today around pop culture here and now.
Yeah.
Where another legend, like you might hear a legend about, I'm trying to think of a good one, like a historical legend, something that maybe happened in the past, but is sort of rumored to be true. That might be just a legend, where a contemporary or an urban legend is like right here, right now, Bush did 9/11, which is not unlike
you said crocodiles in the sewers.
Crocodiles in the sewers.
Yeah. Some of the conspiracy talk I feel like might violate Twitch's TOS unless we're very deliberate that we're using it as an academic example.
It is,
but,
yes.
But yeah. I think if you're talking about urban legends, it's like it is a form of folklore that like it is like a narrative story that could like only take place when the context is like right now. The context is like our like current world, and that could be like the 70s, but it doesn't mean like when the world was swirling darkness and Zeus fought Typhon, and it doesn't mean when Saint Christopher carried the infant Jesus on his shoulder. It means like when they had sewers and cars and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just add that often they're attributed to modern people, like a friend of a friend.
Oh, that's right.
Someone who's living right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
so
friend's
that's another
dad was
way
a cop.
to place it current.
Mm-hmm. Also in the chat, I noticed a Pies Kill Kings. Folkloric elements of conspiracy narratives. I think the conspiracy theory falls under this category of like urban legend or narrative folklore.
Because there's traditionalized elements of the conspiracy theories, and you know, like Chrissy was saying, friend of a friend too. That's how they hear it.
Agree with that.
Yeah, like who told you the thing? Where did you learn about it? And then also, you know, can you trace it back to some kind of common theme? I know I saw a great TikToker who was creating a whole chart about like conspiracy theories that end up leading back to anti-Semitic kind of stuff.
Sure.
But that might be an example of like a theme that's consistent throughout a lot of conspiracy theories that's unchanging, while the other stuff around it is changing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Is that good for the Twitch filters?
Yeah. I have one possible addition, and you guys can correct me if I'm not, I'm mistaken. An additional way that has helped me think about it is that folklorists didn't choose the distinction urban legend and legend. They sort of acquired it from popular usage and have kind of worked hard to make them into usable terms. But given the sort of discomfort that Daisy showed when the question was first asked, I think it's still something that folklorists are a little bit uneasy about because it's used so heavily popularly, and would you guys disagree with that?
I don't know if that's I don't know if that's necessarily true. The only reason my ears perk up is because there's this journal and a society that studies specifically legend narratives, and it's called the International Society for Contemporary Legend Research, and notice that they say contemporary legend as opposed to urban legend. Because urban has a connotation with it needing to be like from the city or from like a specific environment, I think, and so they have selected to say like contemporary to place it in the present rather than urgent to place it in a place, I think. But I don't know, somebody from the organization's probably like, no, it just sounded better.
Man, I wish Peck was still in the chat, because Peck
I know, I did
all
too.
about this, Peck being someone who was commenting in the chat earlier, like was like the first folklorist to really get in on Slender Man.
Yeah.
As a sort of urban legend.
Okay, I got a good food question.
Hit me.
Kind of. It combines a question from earlier, but also with food. What food item or dish would you pick to get tattooed on you, hypothetically?
Food
Dom,
item?
you have to say hot dogs.
I want to get a Sailor Jerry what do you call it, like traditional Americana style tattoo of a hot dog. That is like a dream of mine.
Honestly, that would be a fire tattoo.
Yeah, mine's got to be hot dog. It's just so.
It's got to be.
It's a hot dog. Whether there's, I would not get all the 7 fishes on me. Pies Kill Kings. That's so many. Oh my god! It'd just be like, why do you have calamari tattooed on the inside of your arm? Oh my god! No, come on. No, I think it's got to be a hot dog for me. Chrissy is the other food person.
Yeah, but I will say that none of my foods are pretty. I guess to some extent, but like I can't think of having them permanently etched on my body, except for, the only one I'd think about is kalecha, which is this Chaldean Christmas cookie that my family makes every year. And it's like a half moon shape with a crimped edge. And that's perhaps the only thing. But what I'd actually want would be hands crimping or hands doing a portion of the process.
Oh,
that is very folklorist of you. Is that
partially because
you want the process?
I'm like,
not just
and I'm
the
also
result.
I'm also visually obsessed with hands a little bit. Like they feature in my art in some ways, and so it would make sense for me to choose hands doing something. But yeah, plus the foods aren't that pretty, so it would be hard for me to pick one that I actually work with, and I've never thought of it. Really, there's no other food that would have enough meaning for me to put it on my body. So
Yeah.
Yeah. So those, yeah. But the hands would make it interesting, at least exciting.
Can we circle back to Tommy's question in the chat? Is urban legend?
Yeah, I was gonna say
yeah.
let's address that real
Ooh.
quick. Urban legend, almost slang for contemporary legend. Kind of.
Kind of.
I don't know. Kind of.
I
think it's just like a not. I don't know if I want to say it's like a not folklore term for contemporary.
No, what I was
legend,
gonna say is it's slang that like worked the opposite, where like everybody had a. Oh no, maybe that's how slang works. That everyone had a term for it first before people.
Yeah, like settled.
Like had settled on what the definition was. There was already a term.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll agree though. Part of it is Daisy's definition of like we as scholars found that a problematic term because it was
but not like any of us in our lifetime found that problematic.
No,
yeah.
No, like this
the
is like
scholars.
Yeah, in like the
then
60s and
the
70s.
term.
Yeah, had to
Yeah.
say
Yeah,
like,
like people.
oh, urban legend. You mean contemporary legend narrative? But now,
Yeah,
like
which-
when we went
Part
to school, it was urban legends. Yeah, they're contemporary legends.
Part of that
Yeah.
comes out of, though, that it was a point in time when urban folklore was becoming bigger because people were moving to cities. Like there was a time in folklore history where like people moved from the country to the city, and folklorists were like, oh, we don't have to just study the country people, the folk in the country, which is a traditional sort of peasant definition of the folk.
Yeah.
But we can study people in the city, and that's why urban came as a term. So it's also representational of the time when the term started to become popular, and it was used for a while before we were like, wait, there might be problems with this, so we maybe need to read.
Yeah.
Very underrated point, Chrissy. That's the very like getting into the etymology of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. So,
What's
kind
next?
of.
Yeah, kind of. I'll say kind of. It's complicated, but kind of.
Yeah, to bring it back to this food tattoo question, getting a family recipe tattooed, that would be super cool.
Oh my god, what would my family recipe be?
Yeah,
it would
like
be
I don't know what
calamari on the inside of my arm.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, but it would have to be like in someone important's handwriting. That would be my
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's got to be in the original handwriting, or it has to be the recipe with the handwritten edits that are like scratched out, like in the recipe book.
Mine would be the old like print off of the Word doc with the stains that like we've all passed around.
Yeah, exactly. They'd have to do like the really light like coffee stain on it.
Yeah.
I agree.
We got another question?
I'm not sure I can get behind the whole the recipe tattoo idea, because just from a personal standpoint, I am violently allergic to script in tattoos.
Oh. It's pretty hard to do right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I personally don't have script in any of my tattoos. Yeah, just because I've seen so many people just get like wonky. What's the term I'm looking for? Kerning.
Just like it, like shaky handwriting or something,
or just like it's not on the same plane. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Good point, Sam.
We have a final question.
Oh, let's do it.
And then I think we can wrap up. Favorite piece of Hollywood folklore.
Oh,
this is a very good question.
It's a very good question for you.
I can already think of one that I really like.
Okay.
And I like. Oh man, we got another one. Okay, well we got another one in the stream chat too, so we can maybe circle back if we want. But or we can save it for next time. My favorite piece of Hollywood folklore is the 27 Club. Do people know about the 27 Club?
Explain it if someone watching this doesn't.
Yeah, I will explain this. So I'm sure that there are many more people part of this club, but basically there are a coincidentally high number of celebrities, like Hollywood mega famous celebrities, who die when they're 27, usually in, like a non-standard way. It's usually like drugs or car accidents or something really traumatic and sudden, right? Because you don't often expect people to die when they're 27, and so they're particularly tragic and they're in the public eye. Marilyn Monroe is part of this club. Kurt Cobain is part of this club.
Janis
Um,
Joplin,
Janis Joplin's part of this club. Amy Winehouse.
I was gonna say, you
Heath
better name
Ledger's.
Amy.
Yeah,
You know, I love Amy Winehouse.
yeah. There's a ton of people who are part of
James
this.
Dean.
James Dean, yeah.
Oh, he's like the OG, right?
He's the OG,
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
he's the OG.
Jimi
And
Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
shit,
a bunch of people.
is not good.
More
Oh,
recent-
Sam, good thing you're not famous.
Yeah. Well, thanks.
Yeah,
Really pumping up the
we're
self-esteem.
keeping. We know you're keeping you around for a while. A bunch of them also died like with white lighters in their pocket, and so
That's
I
right.
grew up thinking that like having a white lighter, all my like edgy friends were like, oh, it's lucky and kind of cool to have this white lighter because it's kind of like you're nodding to the 20. See, okay, so then there's the bad luck side too. So all my friends were like, it's edgy and cool because like I know about the 27 Club, I know about like the tragic life of fame or whatever, and so they all wanted to use white lighters. But then they're also bad luck because like a bunch of people died really young with white lighters in their pocket. I don't think that this is true for every person who's in the 27 Club that's super famous, but it's like a coincidentally
That's
high
a
number.
folklore about folklore.
Yeah. So there you go. You get the meta folklore. I don't know what if anybody else has like Hollywood folklore.
I think I got one. You know about the ghost in 3 Men and a Baby?
No.
Does anyone else back me up on this? Do you know about this?
No.
Okay.
No idea.
There is a God, I wonder if I should just pull it up on stream. But there is a scene where people have noted in the background of this particular scene in that, like, 80s dad comedy, that there is just like a person just that appears in the back of a scene, like beyond a doorway. And yeah, it just, people have like seen this movie enough and just noticed like a background detail, which appeals to me because I watch bad movies and I try to notice like what the extras are doing. But there's just like, I think I think they've explained that it's like a cutout of like a cardboard cutout of Ted Danson. Or I've heard that explanation. I don't know what it is. But like just in the background there is just like, the way the editing works, it appears that there's just a figure standing like when they like reverse shot. Yeah, and very similar to the Munchkin suicide in The Wizard of Oz, that in the forest you can see the shadow of someone hanging themselves on set. Yeah,
that's
so
absolutely
I guess
wild.
Those are my kind of thing. That, or if you could kind of count. I talked about going to see The Room like all the time in college. You could kind of count like all the rituals people have at like The Room and Rocky Horror, because I think all those started as like shitheads in LA, like going to the midnight movie and like being young and stupid. But yeah, I'm gonna say this sort of 3 Men and a Baby, Ghost, Wizard of Oz, Munchkin suicide, like little background details that people have created like ghost stories about.
That's a really good one. It makes me think about like there's like Hollywood folklore and then there's like beach and LA people folklore.
Okay.
And like one of the LA folklore people things that I can think of is just like meeting random celebrities that people talk about all the time.
Oh,
like,
sure.
And like retelling their stories about all the different celebrities that they've just like casually met.
Are there my
family has a bunch.
Are there like traditionalized formulas for how that works?
Yeah, it's all there's. I'm trying to think about like what there's usually like I didn't expect to see them there and they were there. It has to usually be unexpected.
Yeah,
like you see them at a grocery store or something. Like
I grew up in a tourist town that a lot of LA people frequent. I have the same stories.
Same thing.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
Exact same formula. Like my mom met Will Smith.
Yes.
friend in high school met Nick Cannon.
It's all the It's
Hey,
like weird
I've
stuff
got,
like that.
and I've got. I see Bill Murray in the chat. I've got that
It's
story for.
insane.
I've got those. I know those stories for Bill Murray because I lived in Cincinnati, and Bill Murray's son went to Xavier, and people in Cincinnati have those. I saw Bill Murray at Kroger stories. Yeah,
Oh my god.
I saw Bill
Well,
Murray.
that's
He asked us what we were doing tonight. Said we were throwing a party, and he was like, "I'll buy you a keg." You know, like people have that. The only celebrity they have Nick Lachey and Bill Murray in Cincinnati.
well, that's like a really good example. I think the legend of Bill Murray almost encompasses this entire thing, but like, yeah. So there's always like it's unexpected when you see them. Usually they're really nice to you or like really rude to you. There's a variation there, of course. I don't know what else you can be, like neutral to you, probably, I guess, but why would you tell somebody a story like that? And then the third thing is usually that they spend money on you. Like you just said in the Bill Murray one, like he offered to buy a keg.
Yeah.
Like that's usually a big feature. Sometimes it's like weird, like you're like spying on them, and the other thing is like you can't decide whether or not it's rude to go up to them. That's another thing I
Sure.
hear a lot, where people are like, "Oh, I saw this person, but I didn't actually, I didn't want to like bother them, so I didn't actually go up and talk to them."
Can we lightning round
Yeah.
this last question?
About favorite folkloric beasts.
Yeah. Shout out to Groundhog Day. Yesterday
yeah.
now. We are not in
Yeah.
Groundhog Day because it is tomorrow, presumably.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so everyone, just lightning round, no explanation. Just name your favorite folkloric beast. Daisy, go first.
There's too many. I want to say the thylacine, but I don't know if that really counts. I'm gonna say if I take Jersey Devil, will you be upset?
Oh my god, I'll think of another one.
Okay, I got it.
Devil.
Okay, I got it. The Loveland Frog.
That's my other one.
What? Okay.
The Loveland Frog and the Jersey Devil are my two favorite.
Okay, I like big. I'll take Big Frog.
Who's here? Caitlin?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Flatwood Monster.
Oh.
And where's that out of?
West Virginia.
Nice.
Oh, and I would also like to say I'm a huge fan of Square Cats, which are also out of West Virginia.
Nice. Chrissy.
I'm gonna pick Nessie.
I do
Does
like
that count?
Nessie. Nessie's so cute.
Sam?
Been obsessed since a kid.
I honestly can't fucking choose. I read so many
Right?
novels that include like not just one pantheon, but all of the pantheons, and like they're all very well researched. But I can't choose one. I will say that I like the concept of shifters.
Mm-hmm.
And David, shout it from the other side of the room.
I don't know if this counts, but like Witchers,
A Witcher.
It can.
they're not real.
They're not real,
part of
but
any real folklore.
Hey, do not apologize for all the questions. This has been fun.
yeah, I was just gonna say that. Come watch us next week and ask more questions.
Yeah,
This is so
think
fun.
of more questions. Slide into the Gmail with more questions. Hit follow. Hit follow so you know when we're live. Subscribe if you really like us. Give us your Prime sub if it's linked to your Twitch account. Follow the Jersey Devil on Instagram. I don't know if that's a real one, but I just love him.
You know that exists.
He's such a little. Just love the Jersey Devil.
All right. Well, our question, which I think is a good question and one that we should answer on the show. Now is as good a time as any. The question is how a video game creates folklore.
Oh, well,
Relationship between video games and folklore.
That's good. I mean, we played Among Us last week, and I think we had a couple examples when we were playing Among Us. Number one, we had just how do you know what your settings are for Among Us? You know what I mean? You have to share that with people in a group who have something in common with you. That's like and a lot of people don't use like the default settings that like Innersloth made. They like the people have agreed on their own settings for the game. So that's one example. We also played hide and seek, which is making a new form of the game within the game, which is folklore. I think, Daisy could talk about Minecraft. I'll go talk about Smash because, whenever Nintendo wants you to play Smash, it's like 4 players with items on the wildest stage. But when people have set up these Smash tournaments, it's 2 characters, no items, like the joke being it's Fox versus Fox on Final Destination, items off, because people have come up with their own folklore about how to play the game. So I think that's what I was getting at when I said that in the opening of the episode. Daisy, do you have anything to add as a gamer, folklorist, provocateur yourself?
Yeah, I think folklore is really cool because it focuses on like the everyday small interactions between people and
Mhm.
and our relationships with each other. And so one way that you can see that in video games, or the ways that video games can support that, um, is through how you learn how to play a game. And I cannot talk enough about Minecraft and folklore because most video games teach you how to play the game as you go along,
Yeah.
right? Like there's usually a tutorial period where you try to test out how the game works or what the goal of the game is.
Mhm.
Or Minecraft isn't really, it doesn't have that. You can do a tutorial, nobody does it. And there's a ton of different ways that you can play the game. You can play really creatively.
I didn't know there
You
was a
can play.
tutorial.
Yeah, it's not super obvious. There is a
Okay.
tutorial. There's a tutorial for how to like harvest resources and stuff. But basically, you harvest resources, you make tools, and you create in any kind of landscape, and you can play the game creative, where you just have all the resources that you want initially, or you can play survival, which is how most people play, or maybe I should say a lot of people play, in which your character can die in the game, and you're trying to create more stuff. Um, you can also play hardcore, which is when your character dies, your entire server dies, and all the
Yep.
work that you worked really hard to create just goes away.
And to clarify, Daisy, none of these things were part of the way the game was programmed. It was people. It was players coming up with these rules, and then it spread to other people who play the game. Right?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
so when you learn how to play Minecraft for the first time, it's more fun if you play with your friends, or your friends teach you how to play and how to build stuff, or you build projects together, because working together makes the whole resource gathering aspects of the game a lot easier, and it's just more fun. And you can do things now, like you can fight bad guys if you want, or you can stay away from them, or you can make it a farming game, or you can do what some people do and create all of Westeros in one map. Westeros Craft is very cool if you ever want to check it out. You can do so much with it, but all of that's from the community that you like are around, that helps you determine how you play the game. So it's very, that element of it is very folklore, and I think a lot of games are like that in terms of how they create community. Minecraft is a very, I think, easy example of that, and so is Smash, where clearly you have to be around and playing with other people to create the game that you want. But pretty much every game fosters some level of community.
So, Daisy. Oh, by the way, great answer, Daisy. Number 2, I see somebody in the chat. Surely you can't be in the chat. Brought up Pokemon Nuzlocke. Do you know what a Pokemon Nuzlocke is, Daisy?
Don't.
I
But
happen to
I'm
know.
gonna guess.
I happen to know one of our followers is a Pokemon Nuzlocke streamer.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah,
Hell
so
yeah.
this could be a potential episode. But guess what you
Oh,
think it is?
Well, Nuzlocke to me is like noses touch.
N-U-Z. N-U-Z.
I know, but it's nuz like nuzzle. That's what I'm going for.
To understand the name, you really have to
Much
read.
shame.
To understand the name, you really have to read the comic, which is interesting because a person like made a webcomic about this challenge that like the challenge run that they did on Pokemon, and it's a combination of Nuzleaf and John Locke from Lost. It's very complicated, but the gist is a Nuzlocke is you can only catch one Pokemon in any area you go into. And then when that Pokemon faints, it dies and you have to release it. So you have to see if you can beat the game where the Pokemon have permadeath turned on.
I don't like that. I'm not that level of gamer yet. That's like there are so many Minecraft memes where like you die in hardcore mode and you left your dog because in Minecraft when you have you can like basically tame a wolf and make it your dog to follow you and fight they're called mobs, but basically like game aggressors or things that are trying to attack you. And if you die in a hardcore mode, your whole world is left and you can never go back to it. And so your dog is just waiting for you to wake up in your bed like you would in a survival game. But it's not a survival game, it's hardcore and you're stuck there and your dog is for eternity. It's so sad. I don't like playing hardcore. I have one hardcore world.
Can I read you a clip of a gaming journalism article that was sent to me this week?
Yes. Also, heads up, you may want to flip screens to Mod Talk if you want, but no pressure.
Oh, Christina, are you still there? Or are you gone?
I am still here, though my connection is coming in and out.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Should we flip to me and Daisy, or?
Yeah.
Daisy, turn your camera on.
I'm easy.
I got you.
You can still talk, Christina. It's just they'll be looking at Daisy. Ah, it's Daisy.
I took my glasses off so that way it wouldn't...
You don't have ring light eyes. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have ring light eyes.
Can I read this to you, Daisy?
Yes.
Okay, this headline reads, How an ionizing particle from outer space helped a Mario speedrunner save time.
I'm already intrigued. Let's go.
Okay, and okay, so basically, subtitle Super Mario 64 runner Dota Teabag helped receive some cosmic help from an ionizing particle resulting in an impossible glitch. And the highlighted part that was sent to me was, during the race, an ionizing particle from outer space collided with Dota Teabag's Nintendo 64, flipping the 8th bit of Mario's first height byte. Specifically, it flipped the byte from 11000101 to 11000100 from C5 to C4. This resulted in a height change from, and then it gives you like the coordinates, which by complete chance happened to be the exact amount needed to warp Mario up one floor higher at that exact moment. So, already doing a speed run, which is a sort of folklore community a regulated challenge, and as they were doing it, needed this saved just the smallest amount of time by an ionizing particle from space hitting his N64, flipping one byte of Mario's height and allowing him to land on a platform he wouldn't normally be able to land on. So, like, not only is that like you're doing like a kind of folkloric form of play, but like this is almost like this is itself. I feel like this is going to become a legend about like, oh, did you hear about Dota Teabag, where the universe interfered or interceded on his behalf so he could like set a record in Mario 64.
I feel like I just read like a tinfoil hat theory.
No, I mean, this is like
real.
This is like the kind of thing like spaceships, like computers on spaceships have to be careful about. Normally not an N64.
Oh my god. Wow. I was just thinking about how I watched a speed run in like a 20 minutes of Minecraft.
Oh yeah.
Wild that you can do.
I love the 20-minute speed runs. Oh, when we're gonna have Breath of the Wild on the stream in a couple weeks, but maybe a fun activity would be watching a speed run, like watching the current world record speed run.
Oh, that would be kind of cool. You know, speedruns are super interesting because like you have to like not every game has an ending.
Yeah, exactly.
In a way, like Minecraft like does, but really the ending is like credit roll, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's the end. I guess that counts as like the ending.
The
But
distinction speedrunners make between like any percent and 100%, like what the ending
yeah,
is. Yeah.
right. Yeah, yeah, that was super fun, and I do have to say, like, I don't know if we referenced it enough, like when Gino was on, but like your Big B is very good.
Thank you. It's like I can't like seeing myself. I wasn't really looking while I was playing the game, and then seeing myself now, I'm just like, damn, I look tired. Am I tired? And I'm like, no, I'm a cell shaded.
No, you're
I'm a
Big
cell
B.
shaded wolf man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're Big B right now. It's not. It's not that you're tired. It's that you're Big B. It's
Staying
really
out of
good.
it.
You know what? I have a question for you
Yeah.
related to cosplay.
Yeah.
Um, what was your first cosplay? Tell me the story of how you became like Catholic to theater kid to cosplayer to writing a musical.
I always
What's-
had.
what's
Well,
the
I
progression
always,
here?
I always had very elaborate Halloween costumes.
Oh, me too. One time, okay, what was like number one most effort costume for Halloween?
I did. I was Chewbacca one year, and then the next
That's
year.
pretty good.
Oh, that's not it though. The next year, I took the Chewbacca fursuit, had my mom sew a tail on the back, and got a werewolf mask, and I was a Dragon Ball Z Ozaru.
Oh, that's fucking cool.
One could argue that's my first cosplay.
Oh my god. One time I was a fish tank.
Pretty cool.
That was that was not a cosplay, but I did later get axolotls, which are an aquatic animal. I don't know what it was about with me and fish tanks, but that was
I think I can
that was
remember.
part
I
of it
think
too.
when I was like 5, I like really wanted to be the Wicked Witch of the West.
What?
I
That's
mean,
cool.
and then I was Wolverine. No, my brother was Wolverine. I was Sonic.
Oh yeah, you went so fast, I bet that time.
I was a VR trooper. If you remember, like the Fox VR Troopers show.
Oh yeah, I think I do remember that.
What did I have any other like complicated Halloween costumes?
Did you have any that your parents vetoed? They were like, you can't be that.
Not really. I don't think so. Who knows?
That's good. That's good.
Um,
I was just curious.
but my very first time I like cosplayed. Um, it was okay. It was Halloween 2012, my first year of my master's, and I went to the 10th Street the Bloomington costume store back when it was still on 10th Street. Now it's on 4th and College. But that old people, if people from Indiana hear this, they will know that like impossible to get to spot on the bypass next to the sushi restaurant. But I went in there and I found like a black and gold like king outfit, and I'm like, oh, this could totally be King Robert. I would need to add some
Black and
things.
yellow, black and yellow,
I
black
would
and
need.
yellow,
I put.
black and yellow.
So I added some
Wow.
things to it. I did like a I put like a stag on the breast, and I did like some other like minor tweaks to it, and I rolled up to this crazy Halloween party that they used to have. I hope they still have it in Indiana, called the Mad Scientist Ball, which was cognitive science, psychology, and another brainy science. All the grad students got together and threw a house party in one of the professors' houses, who like always went out of town on Halloween weekend and left his grad students the keys. So they had this giant. It was like going to a house party in high school. There were like cars down the street. You had to walk. You park down the street and walk. It was like out halfway to Nashville, Indiana. So it was like out in the sticks. It was just like a random turn you took, and there was like a development. It was a crazy party. And I show up as like kind of the proto form of Robert Baratheon. I will never forget this to the day I die. And Jay Gatsby sees me at the bar and goes, "Your Grace, this one's on me. This one's on me," you know? And it was a guy who was like perfect. You could tell he was Jay Gatsby just like the way he looked, you know? And
Wow.
but when I was like researching like, hey, what do Robert Baratheon cosplays look like? I found it, so it would have been like Dragon Con 2012 would have just happened. I didn't go because I just moved and started grad school. But Dragon Con 2012 had just happened, and that means that the earliest form of Ice and Fire Con was being planned at like the Game of Thrones meetup at Dragon Con. They were like, hey, let's have a like just straight up a Song of Ice and Fire books convention. And so when I Googled Robert Baratheon cosplay, I found the forum that used to be on the Ice and Fire Con website where someone was like, hey, can we act out scenes from the show at like the costume contest? And Tara, our friend who cosplays Cersei, was like, oh, that would be great. And this guy was like, I do King Robert. Can we do Robert and Cersei having their like conversation about Lyanna Stark in episode 6 or whatever? And I remember reading that and being like, shit, another Robert is going to be better at costume and better at acting than me. I've really got to practice. I don't think this guy has ever shown up to an Ice and Fire Con, but he posted on the forums and he like put the fear of God in me that like, okay, cosplay is about like I need to look just like he does in the book. I need to have the beard. I need to like blah blah blah. I need to like have a monologue memorized, which are not regular expectations for cosplay. Just I read this forum post, and I emailed a bunch of my friends from college who read a Song of Ice. We were all reading a Song of Ice and Fire in college, and I was like, we gotta go to this. And only my friend Craig showed up. Shouts to Craig. He hasn't been to Ice and Fire Con in a while, but Craig is an original guest of Ice and Fire Con, right? But Craig and I showed up. The only costume I packed was Robert Baratheon. Craig and I showed up. First person I meet at a con is Tara, who is there smoking a cigarette, just doing her thing. And
chain smoking in the corner because
Sunday,
she's the organizer.
Yeah, she whatever it takes. So that Saturday is the costume contest. That Saturday is the costume contest, and I'm kind of getting it. It was a small enough con at that point. There was no like beginners, masters, like whatever division. So I'm kind of getting my like shit like picked apart. And then one of the judges goes, "Do you have any questions for me?" Do you know the story, Daisy?
I do.
Yeah, he goes, "Do you have any questions for me?" And I go, "I have a question for you. Who was your first kill?" And she goes, "Who was your first kill?" And I went, "Mine was some Tarly boy at the Battle of Summerhall. Horse took an arrow, had to go the rest of the way on foot, trudging through the mud. He came charging at me, like he could end his whole rebellion with one swing of his sword. Stupid boy. Brought my warhammer down upon him, sent bits of breastplate into his chest. Gods, I was strong then." What does he say next? He goes, could still remember what he said. Wait, he cried. Wait. They don't tell you how they'll shit themselves when they die. The singers leave that part out of the songs. He could have stayed on the sword line with the other smart boys. Maybe he'd be alive. Maybe his sons would be ingrates. Maybe his wife would be making him miserable, and maybe he'd be waking 3 times in the night to piss into a bowl. And like I got like this like huge ovation. And I ended up getting like they invented like a best in show performance. I still have like in my little filing drawer here, but because they were just like, yeah, like, okay, you wore a Halloween costume to a con. That's not all the cosplay is about. Because you were just, for a while, you were Robert Baratheon, and it was something else. And that was okay. So from that whole story, I think when you ask like when did I first cosplay, it goes from buying a Halloween costume and sewing a patch on it to waking 3 times in the night to piss into a bowl. Wine. Daisy, do you wanna talk about when you and I met at a folklore conference? And you, me, and
Oh my
Lydia,
God.
because this is, having heard this story, this is an incredible coincidence how you and I met.
I still think about this sometimes.
Me too.
And think about how strange and coincidental, and like I think about it both as my like connection to cosplay and A Song of Ice and Fire, but also as like solidifying what I needed and wanted from being part of the discipline of folklore.
Interesting.
Like this is absolutely wild. So like, okay, the year was 2016.
It was 20.
No, 2017.
16.
No, 2016.
Yeah.
2016.
2016.
2016. The American Folklore Society Conference.
For context, can I tell a teaser story into this?
Yes.
I had I told this the other day, but I went to Whole Foods with Gina and my friend Kurt because we like had a ride at this academic conference a couple days early. There was a Whole Foods across the street, and I just had never been at a Whole Foods before, and I just complained about how big and unnecessary Whole Foods is, and I like tweeted about it, and then either Gina or maybe it was one of the fake folklorist Twitter accounts that Gina ran. Can't remember which it was, but Gina then like immediately had the ATU for Town Mouse and City Mouse and just like tweeted it at me to my shame that I was being Town Mouse reacting to City Mouse's grocery store. So if you wondered, is Gina like that all the time? Yes. She's immaculate.
Yes, the answer is yes.
So, all right, the next day. So the next day.
Okay. So this is my very first ever American Folklore Society conference. And for those who don't know, this is the largest conference in North America of folklorists who get together and like it's a fucking holiday. Like we're all there and we're all hype about everybody's work. And because it's small enough that it's not as big as a huge discipline like English or anthropology or another humanities discipline. It's just right in the perfect size of like everybody knows each other, but not quite. So there's like a whole community of folklorists, and there's a lot of different other reasons for this too, but that's one of them.
Yeah.
And this is my first ever one, and this was the year that I graduated from University of Oregon with a Bachelor of Arts in folklore, and I'd never been to an academic conference before, and I graduated early, and I was afraid that I wasn't going to have any friends, and none of my friends that I did have were graduating with me, and I was like, I don't know, I should probably go to an academic conference if this is the thing I want to do. And so I went to it. And then I decided when I was there, I just started hanging out with grad students, and grad students who are folklorists are great because they're all very excited about you being interested in folklore because nobody's interested in folklore. So they immediately adopt you and they take you on all of these places. And if any of you ever come to the American Folklore Society conference and you know any of us by name, you also will be adopted into our group, and just you follow them where they go, and they go to bars and they go to grocery stores and they go to all different places.
I think you went to the grad student mixer, right? You were an undergrad, but you went to the grad student mixer. And also, yeah, you technically don't have to be a grad student and go to the grad student mixer. You will just meet the fun people at a conference who want a party. So, tip for anyone going to academic conferences. Yeah. Grad student mixer is where you find your party people.
Yeah, that's where you find the people who want to hang out and party, and it's very good. Yes, surely you can confirm in the chat. See, this is true. This happens. It's very fun. And so I went to grad student mixer. I don't know. I met people who are also grad students. I knew some grad students from University of Oregon who kind of like brought me in. And then I met a bunch of other people at different, who were coming across from all over the United States to this centralized conference. Also grad students, met them. It was very cool. I was trying to figure out where I was going to apply to grad school, blah, blah, blah. So I go, I'm hanging out with Dom and Lydia. Lydia's been in the chat also with James under Pies Kill Kings. Avid folklorists. Both of them have PhDs in folklore. There were other people as well, but I remember them, and you'll see why.
Well, and Lydia
Specifically.
and I are very close. I officiated her wedding.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'll see why Lydia and I were very close too.
Yes. Yes. So they had a previous tie to each other. I was like this newbie who was following around the grad students to places, and we
Yeah,
ended
you're
up all
telling it
going to
right.
Whole Foods for a dinner. Right. So we go to a Whole Foods and we're checking out in line, and I was like casually said like, yeah, I was trying to figure out where I was gonna spend my like extra cash this year. And I thought it was either going to be between this professional conference, the American Folklore Society, or to this conference that's for like Game of Thrones in Virginia. And they were like, wait,
Can I
you were
recreate?
gonna do what?
Can I recreate what Lydia
Yes.
and I did?
Yes. I think you both stopped.
We did this.
You
We did
both
this.
were like turn around and go.
We just
what
whipped.
conference where?
We whipped backwards. No, and as I remember, we didn't even ask where. The first thing out of our mouths was, "You have to come to Ice and FireCon. You have to come to Ice and FireCon with us."
Yeah, and I was like, wait, and like I remember thinking like, no, yeah, this like Game of Thrones conference in Virginia, that's so specific, right? Like that's so like who would be going to this? This
Yeah,
is something
little did you know you were talking to two
anything.
volunteers at the con. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the last thing I remember is like me turning around and you both being like, wait, do you mean this? You mean Ice and Fire Con? You mean a Song of Ice and Fire Game of Thrones fan created conference happening in Virginia at this location? Blah, blah. We're both volunteers there. You're coming.
You're
and
coming.
I was like, oh my god, I guess I'm going to both conferences.
And there was like no way. I don't even know how you made it.
Oh
You
my
like
God,
flew back
that
in
was,
from
like-
fucking South America like the day before.
This is also fucking crazy.
You
Yeah.
fashioned
I was
yourself like a spear in like the Roanoke airport, and you're like, well, go to a con.
No, literally, this is absolutely wild. Also, I was like, I have to go
wildly.
to this con because this is too coincidental and too formative to the adult that I am going to be to miss this opportunity of people who are volunteers, who are also folklorists, who are bringing this full circle to me to like who I am as a person. Like, I can't not go to this. So I had previously decided that I was going to spend 3 months in South America by myself traveling around. I spent a lot of that time in Uruguay, and I like came back to the United States from that trip, spent a night in a hotel in LA, got back on it. My dad, who coincidentally like worked in LA, I'm from Southern California. We don't live in LA, but very close to it. He like left the car there with the suitcase I pre-packed before I left to South America.
3
in
months
the back
ago.
of the car.
Yeah.
3 months ago, I switched my like backpacking bag for my cosplay suit that I like put together in this car.
You were
I went back to
Osha.
the
You were Osha the
airport.
Wildling, as I remember.
Yeah, I was Osha the Wildling. That's my first cosplay ever. This is like, I can't believe I did this looking back on it. This is like absolutely bonkers.
I can
switched,
because that
like,
was
suitcases.
That was such an amazing weekend.
It was so good. It was like I couldn't miss it. There was so much fun stuff that happened. Oh my gosh.
I mean,
left
like
my
everything
backpack.
in that weekend was huge. You know what I mean? Like that was
Everything. Yeah.
Ice and FireCon 2017 was like, oh, that was another level.
Yeah,
I mean, there was a proposal. People got
like
engaged.
Was it 4 or 5?
That was Ice and FireCon 5.
I think it was 5. Yeah,
Mhm.
I was like, it was the 5th one. Was my first one. And yeah, switched suitcases, and I just like right off the airplane, got back into LAX, and then flew to Virginia to this Ice and Fire Con, which is an extremely niche, rather small at the time
and
conference.
How did you have to
for
fly
book-
in? You had
book
to,
people of Ice and Fire Con.
where did you have to fly to?
I flew. I think I did a transfer. I don't know, in Atlanta or something. Or no, maybe it was either Atlanta or it was North Carolina.
Yeah, Charlotte, probably.
And Raleigh. I think it was Raleigh.
Oh,
but
Raleigh.
it was like a weird. It was like a weird transfer.
And then-
so
and
I
then-
did a transfer, and then Another cosplayer who I like met on a Facebook group who I'd never actually met in real life before. Becca.
Yeah, I forgot about this
was
story.
great.
You went the rest of the way, like
Becca picked me up.
yeah, Becca picked
from
you
the
up
airport. From the airport, and like I had a big stick to make my spear that I like found at the like on like the outskirts of the freaking parking lot of the airport. Like it was bonkers. Or like in the Virginia airport, in the where did I fly into? I don't remember.
Anyway,
in the Virginia airport.
That was an insane weekend.
Becca like took me in her car. Bless Becca's freaking soul. We like talked to each other, hung out that whole car ride. We ended up there. It was fine. And we also, the other weird thing was that like we booked, I was going to stay with the folklorist, right? Who I had met. So Dom and Lydia, and I don't remember whoever else was in our freaking
it was
Judson?
going to be some other people who canceled, and we inherited some people whose rooms fell through. Yeah.
And I think that like the hotel flip-flopped our reservation or something to get like the cabin for the Grease cabin.
Grease,
right? Like
Dirty Dancing.
Or what am I saying? Sorry, Dirty Dancing cabin.
The cabin where Baby stays, where they shot all the scenes like in Dirty Dancing with like Baby and her family. Which they were like, oh, sorry, your reservation fell through. But like, I hope you don't mind that you're paying more for a fancier cabin. And we're like, what are we gonna do? Not sleep? And we walk in and we're just like, hold on, something's different about this one.
Yeah, it's absolutely like the Dirty Dancing cabin. So cool. And yeah, we just partied the whole time. There were so many good memories.
And that's when you knew you were a folklorist.
And I was like absolutely culture shocked the whole time. I was like, what the heck? Like, what is going on? No, I think I knew I was a folklorist when like at the American Folklore Society Conference 2016, before I went to this, when Lisa Gilman told me and the several other graduate students at the time, like she pulled us all together and was like, I'm leaving. I got a really cool, or like my partner got a really cool job at the Smithsonian and the Library of Congress. I have to go to DC. Like that was when I was like, she's telling me this before anybody else. I was like, this is so cool. But then meeting everybody at the same time.
It was fate. It really was fate. Next thing you know, you're Joffrey Baratheon on YouTube.
And that's it.
Joffrey called Baratheon.
You know, the rest is history, and I'm Joffrey Baratheon now. There's some Joffreys out there.